up, fools? How's it going? And welcome to another Tutorial Thursday. Titty. And today I want to show you a little trick how you can make your video stand out by putting stuff in the background to make you stand out, to go the extra mile, to make your videos special, because most people are too lazy to do it. Let's begin. Titty. So this is mostly a visual effect. That means that I'm here in my office and I'm gonna do this effect on my computer, but still you have to keep a few things in mind when you shoot something. You want to put something in the background because it's not that simple. It's not like you have a green screen. If you had a green screen, it would be just one click to remove the green screen, but if you actually want to remove the background or exchange the background, you have to do it almost frame by frame. But a few things you can do when you shoot something, like in our example, I have a very flat background. I am brighter than my background. I have a white shirt, light skin, a beanie, and that's not by coincidence. The more even the background is and the more the color is different from your subject, the easier it is to remove the background or actually make a mask around your subject. You'll see in a second what I mean. So what we have here is After Effects, but you can do that with any compositing software. You cannot do that necessarily with editing software like Premiere or Final Cut. I don't know if Final Cut has it, but what we're looking for is the rotoscope effect. Rotoscoping basically means making a mask around your subject so you can pop it off the background and put stuff behind your subject. So right now we have myself here smiling like an idiot, and I have to make a mask around my subject. And if I was doing that the classic way, the traditional way, I would draw a mask around me as good as I can, blah blah blah. And after I did it, you see, I removed the background. The problem with that is, since it's a video and I play it, the mask is not... I want to show you... When I play it, the mask is not going to move with me. That's why we need a different effect. We cannot use the mask. We have to use the Roto Brush tool. So, the way we do it is somewhat simple. And again, the better the footage, the easier is going to be the effect. But you can do it really anywhere. Like I've done it as an example in my Africa vlog. I was like talking, then I put the map where I was at in the background, even though I was like hand-holding it and it wasn't a great shot, but I still could do it. In that particular example, it's going to be easier. So this is how it works. The first thing you have to do is Control or Command D to duplicate our footage. Now we have twice the same footage. Now I'm gonna go up here. We have the Roto Brush tool. We click on it and now double click on our footage. Now it opened a new window, and now when I get closer here to this, oh my god, am I really that disgusting? Anyway, so now I draw a very raw, rough mask of everything I want to cut out, and the computer is going to do the rest. So it really got my arms and shoulders real good. That looks perfect, but it didn't get my beanie because the software thinks that I only want to cut out me without my my beanie, but my beanie is part of it. So now I have to fix it by getting the beanie in it too. Perfect. If I made a mistake, which I didn't, a little more beard here. If I made a mistake and I drew the mask too far, you see, it captures the background too. It takes the background too. I don't want this. I can fix it by either Control Z, but if you hold Alt on your keyboard, you see now it's a negative mask, negative Roto Brush. Now I can fix it, what I broke before. And don't get lazy, especially in the beginning. You have to do a very exact job, because then the software understands what you actually want to cut out, and then when you try to animate the rotoscope and go through all of the frames, it's gonna interpolate all of the next frames. So the more exact you are in the beginning, the better for you. So now all I have to do is have the frame in the shot, and now I'm gonna just hit space to play it, and the computer is gonna try to anticipate all of my movements, and the mask is gonna go with it. So when I click on here, I can see just the mask, but that's not gonna help me now. What I want is this view, so I know exactly what I'm seeing at, what's gonna cut out. I'm probably gonna get into trouble with my beard here. Most definitely. Hair is always tricky to key with green screen or here to rotoscope, but we'll see. I'm just gonna hit space, trying to see everything. And now is the tricky part. You have to look at everything, every corner, whatever I'm moving, that everything is perfectly rotoscope. So now I'm gonna hit play and see what happens. As you can see, the computer takes a lot of time to actually do that. So you really, for rotoscoping, you really have to be patient and look at all of the details if something is not properly cut off. But so far it looks very good. Here you can see the progress of the entire video. As soon as you're here, you're done. So in that particular case, because the background is so well even, everything should go smoothly. The only problems I see here is like, this is background as well, this is background as well, but just for those tutorial purposes, I'm gonna ignore that. So when I later put something in the background, I'm just gonna put it over here so you don't see those mistakes. See, this reappears sometimes, the background here, but again, I'm gonna ignore it for that case because that would take too long to really have it perfect. A little tip is, there was a reason why I was talking like this. I always had the hands in front of me, okay? I never did this, because every time I would reach out of this frame of my shoulder, it would need to recalculate my hands every time I reach out. I shot this thing a couple of times, and sometimes I did this, but I went back, I shot it again, just so I wouldn't get into trouble just for these tutorial purposes. But technically, every time your hand reaches out, you have to re-rotoscope this, making sure everything is smoothly. But so far it looks very good. The purpose of all that is, if you had a green screen again, one click, the green screen is gone, you can replace the background. Here, and for that tutorial, we do this so I can put whatever I want in the background. I can put in the map, like in the other example. The other day I uploaded a vlog where I had an American flag in the background, and I did the exact same thing. But that can always take a while. Here, in that particular case, it's not that tricky, but it can take a very long time. And little fun fact, in the film industry, there are people, rotoscope artists, I don't know why I did that, but that's the name. Rotoscope artists, they do nothing but that. This is their job. In movies, in commercials, all they do is cut out the background. And those people are actually also not well paid, but not terribly paid, but it's a very difficult work. And to be honest, I would rather die than doing that for a living. No offense if I know if you guys are rotoscope artists. See here, we're almost done, a little longer. After this is done, we're not fully done yet. Obviously we need to put something in the background just to showcase what we did. And also there are a few settings here on the left which I would like to get into a little. Beautiful. This is done. Now we can just look at the mask, see if everything is proper. Looks good to me. See how this mask is moving with my arm? Technically it should already start here, so I'm going to remove the mask here. Just for tutorial purposes, I will not fix it completely. Now I have to go frame by frame through it, making sure this is perfectly analyzed. Now we have a few different settings here. The most important one is the feather. It's always on 5% in the beginning, but depending on, well, it's not 5%, it's 5 pixels. So depending on how many pixels you're working with, like right now this is 4K footage. With 4K I would always go around 20 pixels feathering. Feathering means the mask could be like sharp, so 1 pixel is the mask and the other pixel is outside the mask. but nothing is perfectly sharp. So you always feather masks. So the other two are contrast is usually not important, but shift edge, you can basically move the edge of your mask. So when I go -40, you see the mask shrunk. -100, the mask shrunk even more. When I go +100, it basically increases the mask. That can be very helpful sometimes, especially when you have a blurry footage and you don't want the background to be in it. I usually go -10% or so, but in that particular case, because we have such smooth footage, it usually doesn't make a difference. The reduced chatter is an important one. Chatter is basically when I have, like here, beard sticking out and I want all this smooth out, I can reduce the chatter a little. I go extreme here so you can see what's happening. You can't really tell because the footage is too good, but what basically all those little back and forth in the mask, you can reduce that with the reduced chatter. Another important one is you use motion blur. Motion blur, you guys are familiar. When I shake my hand, you see that it's blurry, right? If I try to rotoscope this, it would be a very hard time. So in that case, you use motion blur, so it basically tries to blur the mask around the edges. It's not needed in this case because use motion blur always takes a lot of computer power, so I only would use it with a lot of movement, with fast movement. If we don't have much movement here, I would keep it off. Anyways, the hardest part is really done now. So now I see no background. You can already tell my computer is struggling. Sometimes it re-renders the frame. And here's the problem, this should be black, there it is. So yeah, it really slows down the computer. So for rotoscoping, you really need a powerful computer. That's a big one. But we don't have to watch the full thing. We can watch the first few seconds. Looks very good. So the reason why I duplicated the footage in the beginning is so now I still have the one with the background. This one is the background. Let me rename it so you know what I'm looking at. Full scene. And this I'm going to rename to foreground. I hope I spelled it right. So when I turn on and off the foreground, nothing is happening because basically just turning off and on this person. When I turn off the background, the full scene, everything disappears. So now I basically can put different stuff in the background. Let's say I want to put my Tutorial Thursday intro behind me, okay? So now I'm just going to drag and drop it in there. As you can see, it's on top of everything. So the order of the layers is very important. So now my Tutorial Thursday intro is on the foreground. I obviously don't want it on the foreground. I want it in the background. But when I put it on the very bottom layer, it disappears because this layer here is basically the full scene. That's why I need to put the intro between the background and the foreground, and now voila, it's exactly behind me. Now when I play the video, it's actually behind me. Magical. No green screen needed. I'm gonna make a little something.
Hours later.
And it's done. To actually watch this entire clip took probably like 10-15 minutes. That's how slow my computer is. That's why I also work so hard on this YouTube channel so I can afford a better computer. Anyways, that's what we got. It's perfectly cut out. All the stuff is happening behind me. I'm using my name right now, but I can literally just put anything behind me, as you could see in the intro of the video. And that's it for this Tutorial Thursday. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a little complex, but if you really want to go the extra mile, you gotta go the extra mile. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Follow my Instagram if you want to contact me directly. Check out my Patreon if you want to. Make sure to subscribe, like, Check out also my Infant Cinema filmmaking channel. This is where I post all my short films. Please check it out. I put lots of effort into those short films. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful rest of your Tutorial Thursday. Titty. Doodle-doo. Shit.